Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. There's the camera. I think it'll come up in a little bit. Bear with me. How's everyone doing? We got some Volvo action this morning. They're going to give us a glimpse into their future. I mean, what you see on the screen here is pretty indicative of what they're going to talk about today. Battery electric platform here. You got a motor in the front, motor in the back. Some other pieces around here, tire up here. So I like how this is, it looks like it's taken out of a, you know, if you ever put like a model car together, you just pop out the pieces that are all connected in a plastic tray like this. So it's kind of cool. How's everyone doing? Wherever you're at in the world, how are we doing? Blake's here. Good morning. He says hybrid cars should be the future, or they're definitely a big part of it. Jan says, good night, everyone from Southeast Asia. Yes, get some sleep eventually, man. Mario Striker, good morning. James, good day, everyone. It's almost noon in Ghana. Thanks for coming out from Ghana. That's cool, man. Cool. Do I know when the XC90 will be revealed? I don't. It will be available in 2022. That's what we're expecting. Mike's here. Mike sent in his love this morning. Bernie's here. Bernie, thanks for coming out. Thanks for the support. Blake has an XC90. Yeah, they're great SUVs. Alejandro, what's up? Good morning. Buenos dias. Let's see here. What is... Oh, Illuminati. I get you. I get it. Guten Tag. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. From the hot and sunny Middle East, Route 55 Qatar, or Qatar. I don't know how to say it. I mean, it looks like Qatar, but I think it's pronounced Qatar, but I could be wrong. That's my limitation in traveling around the world. But real quick, really quick, check. We got like 15 seconds, but look at this. I have a Volvo spreadsheet now, so you guys better be sure to see that in the channel in the coming months, weeks, years, etc. Kevin Hawthorne, good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Oh, we have another countdown. Let's turn this down. It's also really loud in my headphones. And now I can actually make this bit. Oh, how am I gonna do this? I'm touching the wrong piece here. Hold on. There we go. That's a little bit more size appropriate, right? That's fine. Yeah, let's check out my Volvo powertrains right here. Look at that. Got everything from the T4 to the T8. I got the fully electrics in there. Yeah. Good night from Indonesia. Indonesia, thanks for stopping in. Yannick Looters from Germany, thanks for coming out. Rahul's here. It's afternoon in South Africa. Yeah, it's spreadsheet, guys. Cars should be recycled 100%, otherwise it's such a waste. Yeah, that's the problem. No one wants to recycle things. Recycling's a lot of work. People don't want to do it. It's hard to make a lot of money from recycling, apparently. It also depends on what you're recycling. Crypto, thanks, man. Andrew Lee's coming in from Malaysia. And Banks from Zambia. What's going on? Illuminati says, I see you've expanded from Asian vehicles to EVs. Yeah, I'm slowly going to expand the channel over time. Asian cars are always going to be like 75% or something of what I cover, if not more. But I also like a lot of I pretty much like all cars, but there are some brands that I like a lot more than others. Volvo has always been interesting to me. And I like Porsche a lot too. I don't plan to add Porsche anytime soon, but they're probably the next, if I expand, don't know. I don't know. If I expand, it might be Porsche. just because I like their designs. I love the history. Who doesn't like Porsche? I mean, you'd not have to have a soul to dislike Porsche. Crypto, I might call into late to work to watch the master at work. You guys are silly. Do you not get diesel Volvos in America? No, we don't. So I could add diesel Volvo on here, but I mean, with them going fully electric, I don't think we're going to see any diesels coming out of Volvo. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going to do it. Volkswagen Auto Group in total? No. Not yet anyways.
Cars that will, needless to say, be only fully electric. They will go a long distance on one single charge, and when you need to charge it, it will charge really quick. They will always be equipped with a centralized computer with our own in-house made software running all the features and functions for the user. They will also, in certain conditions and in certain locations, actually drive themselves. They will be always connected with the amazing Android infotainment system, and they will be the safest Volvos ever made. So, today we will deep dive into how we will actually achieve this. Through technology, not for the sake of technology itself, but for the sake of our purpose and our customers. Through in-house development and through our strategic partnerships with world leaders around the globe, such as Google, Luminar, Nvidia, Sensact, and Northvolt, which all of you will be here with us today. So looking forward to that, but first I will hand over for some opening words to our Chief Executive, Håkan Samuelsson.
Thank you, Henrik, and welcome all of you here and watching online. 10 years ago, Henrik, do you remember we had a similar event? I was not there, but I heard about it. I was in the board, still not joining, but you were there in Varberg, I think it was. Then we laid out the course for the next 10 years, and then it was very bold targets. We need to really be a true global premium car company. We need to grow. We need to reach a size of 800,000, and last but not the most simple thing, we need a profitability in par with mainly German premium competitors. And right now, you could summarize a bit. We have been a bit delayed because of the pandemic, but right now we are selling, in the last 12 months, we are selling around 770,000 cars, so pretty close to what was said then 10 years ago. And we are global, of course, in a totally different way, factories in US and China, and profitability, if you look at the last 2 years, we are on the level of an average of our 3 German competitors. So I think it's very natural now to start laying out what should we do now in the next 10 years' time. And then we are really, basically, we need to transform this company from a, say, just premium conventional company. We need to transform it into a leader in the new premium electric segment, which is growing very fast. And our ambition is to transform faster, to really lead reach a leading position in that segment. And we need to do that exactly as you said. We need then to use the power of technology and applying it fast and applying new technology, because a lot of things is happening. And it's, of course, electrification. Our cars need to really be pure electric. 2030, as you said, all cars will be electric. And that requires also that we build up also in-house new technology. Batteries, one example we'll talk about today. We cannot just buy that and rely on a customer relationship with the supplier. We need to go deeper. We need to understand batteries in the same way as we understand a combustion engine. When it regards, you have been in that area as well, injection pressures and turbocharging pressures. Now we need to understand charging and chemistry, anodes and cathodes and so on. So, and that's really, we need then to team up deeper. We will talk about our Northvolt cooperation, which is really how we can advance in this area. Then we have, of course, software. In the future, the days when we just made a hardware car and sold it are gone. Now a lot of functionality comes from software, and then it's too slow and inefficient to just specify what we want and get it in a black box from a supplier. That is not giving us really the functionality we need to be different and be a Volvo. And we need to do it faster. And we need also be able to fix some bugs that might occur in software, as we know, faster. So we will need to rely on a central computing platform and in-house developed software. Really important. It's almost as big difference for the industry as going electric. And the third really area where Volvo can also, of course, be different and can be leading is safety. We have always, I think everybody expects us to be, of course, the safest car on the market. And we will really strengthen that position by applying the absolute best technology. We will talk about lidars today. So we can have longer vision, and then we need computer vision technology, of course, using our computing platform. And then we can really reach for our cars a totally new level of safety. And this will also be seen as a sort of trademark. On the top of the roof, we will see the lidar. Then everybody knows here comes a very strange or very safe car. So electrification, software, central computing, and safety, next level of safety. That's really what we are going to talk about today. And I think our ambition is to give you all listening here a bit insight into how will we do that. And with that, leave it back to you, Henrik, to guide us through the different areas.
Thank you, Håkan. And yes, indeed, I remember the day it was Varberg, I believe, 10 years ago. And so let's see if we can set the next 10 years here today.
That's the ambition.
And that's the ambition, definitely, and a really exciting future. But before we get into the first keynote, let's try to sort out some simple practicalities so that all of you can enjoy this moment as practical and as you wish. So each keynote will be around 15 minutes, after which the speakers will come and join me, Håkan, and actually welcome Nikki here in the sofa, and have a few questions and a discussion together also with our partners that will join us on link. After that brief session of Q&A, you will have a choice. Either you can follow that same group on LiveStream number 2 and continue to ask questions, and they will of course do their best to answer, and there will also be further expert joining that LiveStream 2. Or you stay with us here on LiveStream 1, and we will then jump into the next keynote. If you do miss any of the keynotes staying on the LiveStream 2, you can of course also always catch up on demand later. And please, this will also be available on the navigation landing page for the live streams. So with that, Nikki, anything more we should add before we kick it off?
Yeah, just to clarify for people watching, if you'd like to ask a question, please type it online. Please include your name and the company you represent or the publication you're from. Those questions will come through to me. I'll put them through to Håkan, Henrik and our experts on your behalf. Good to see we've already got some questions coming in, so keep them coming and we'll get through as many of them as we can.
Yeah, that's good. You can send your questions in already now, so please start sending them. And then it's time for the first keynote.
Let's get going.
Okay, so let's welcome Mats Moberg, Head of R&D here at Volvo Cars, longtime friend and colleague. Let's also welcome Ödjer Andersson, Chief Executive of Zenseact, and hear them both talk about zero collisions.
Thank you, Henrik. We are about to take a giant leap to increase safety, not only for the people in our cars, but also for everyone around it. Our engineers at Volvo Cars, together with our software developers at Zenseact, our autonomous drive partner, have together developed a system that sees as well as detects objects at any early stage. The system understands what it's looking at and is confident to take the right action.
Yes, we're proud to continue building on Volvo's fantastic safety heritage, and even more proud to be able to save lives. Helping prevent accidents is a really meaningful thing to do.
We have taken big leaps before, like the 3-point safety belt and side impact system, to mention a few. Now we will do it again. Our next flagship, the electric SUV, will take a giant leap towards our vision of zero collision. We will equip our new cars with the best eyes and brains for autonomous drive that are available on the market.
Yes, I think Volvo have been really bold by standardizing the hardware required for autonomous driving into their future vehicles. This enables us to use the push from the tech we developed for autonomous driving, not only when the car is driving for you, but also when you're driving yourself. And this means we bring safety into every single mile the car drives.
Our new cars will be equipped with sensor to see and computing power to understand and act. By pushing out the latest software update through the over-the-air function, we will increase the overall safety of our cars step by step. With every software release, we bring more safety to all cars on the street. Within Volvo Cars, we have built up our safety heritage from real-world data. Ödjer, how will this look in the new software world?
Yeah. Sharing of data is the choice of our customer, and with the help of that real-time data, we can speed up the process and go from years to days. And it used to be we sent out an accident research team. They had to collect the data, analyze it after the accident had happened. And that could take months and sometimes years before we could actually use that data and improve the safety in the next generation of cars. Today, we finally have the power to build, deploy, measure, and learn every day. And that means we can improve the safety in the cars in days rather than months, or sometimes years. Continuous improvement based on data from our fleet with the fast loops from input to output helps us bring safety not just to the next generation of cars, but also to the cars that are out on the street faster than ever before. We in Zenseact are a software company, and we control everything from pixel to torque, and everything relies on software and machine learning. We've invested in a data factory that will contain over 200 petabytes of data within the next years, meaning we will be able to leverage AI as a new accident research team. So Mats, if software and AI is our new accident research team, how will the customers notice?
Our vision to help save lives is not an option. It will be standard for all future customers. So when we launched our XC90 in 2015, we were the first to standardize ADAS with RayCam. It was the state of the art at that time. With our new upcoming vehicles, our journey continues. We will standardize the hardware needed to continue growing software for more safety. Our battery electric vehicles, starting with a large electrical SUV, include the Nvidia RNX computing platform and the Luminar lidar sensor platform as standard. This, along with high-definition map and a driver monitoring system, enable development for a world-class autonomous drive technology. Here you see all our sensors. This is spearhead technology, and here on the roof you see our lidar. And we have also equipped with camera, vision, and radar that are better than ever before. And around the vehicle we have a ultrasonic system, so we have a vision of 360. The lidar with its unique detection range will give us a robust high 3D resolution to complement the vision and radar, so we can react correctly in time, even in high speed. Software and AI is our new DNA. Ödjerd, what makes the technology safe?
Yeah, but let's dig into the technology a bit. As you can see now, we're actually live on the lidar, so you can see our movements here. The technology coming from the Luminar lidar, which will go into all the future electric vehicles, has the potential to change the safety landscape. And we estimate it will improve our performance by roughly 15 to 20%. And when we move towards driving autonomously at highway speeds, we need to be able to see far out and actually better than a human. And the detection range of the lidar, which depends on reflectivity, can typically be around 230 meters and go up to 300 meters to detect a normal car. The lidar also helps to detect things correctly in space. It has an angular resolution, both horizontally and vertically, of just above 0.1 degrees. And that means you can actually have a precision of roughly 0.5 meter to 100 meters out. And then, of course, as you come closer, you can reach resolutions that are in centimeter level. The lidar technology detects objects and builds a three-dimensional understanding from a point cloud. And this helps us to understand the drivable surface and where there are no objects. And while cameras are safe in certain conditions, having the lidar complements camera vision and the radar capabilities, and we believe this is necessary for unsupervised autonomous driving. This improved estimate also addresses scenarios that have been historically challenging, like situations with decreased visibility for cameras or complex, dense traffic scenarios for radars, like tunnels or difficult weather conditions. We see great opportunities for improving performance in complex scenarios, like cut-ins, intersections, and those are the scenarios where margins between normal driving and a collision can be really tight. The improved estimation of road geometry and road boundaries will help us in crossings and junctions, and it'll help us avoid head-on collisions and run-off-the-road situations. Going autonomous drive also requires a safe handover between the system and the driver. We ensure that with a new driver monitoring system. The driver monitoring system with 2 cameras that constantly monitor the driver, together with a capacitive steering wheel, helps us understand the state of the driver and ensures a confident handover. Sometimes when the driver is driving themselves, they may not be in full control. This can be due to inattention, distraction, drowsiness, intoxication, or even illness. That means they can be dangerous to themselves as well as people around them. Knowing the state of the driver can also ensure we can tailor the driver support systems to provide safety and comfort and ensure that the driver is really in control. So, Mats, how does this technology bring flexibility to the drivers?
Yeah, a combination of these technologies makes the car very confident enough to act on its own. Previous generation of technology have largely relied on warning the driver for potential threats. This new safety technology will increasingly intervene over time and prevent collisions. We will launch our first unsupervised functionality with the launch of our next car generation. We call it RIDE, meaning the car is in control and the driver can relax. Our focus is to give drivers more control and flexibility over their time. We want to take away the pain points of driving by offering quality time for creativity, socializing, and distressing during traffic jams on highways. This ensures safety as well as convenience. Ödjard, how do we make this?
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be safe, as you said, and unsupervised driving relies on the ability to see and act in all types of complex scenarios. And a responsible rollout is the only option we choose. Everything we activate needs to first be verified. And this space where we have verified the function, we call the operational design domain, or ODD. And we want to reduce the complexity of the ODD to start with by starting on highways where there's reduced opportunity for oncoming traffic, there are no pedestrian crossings. After that, we will launch unsupervised driving in more and more scenarios and expand the operational design domain to more road types and more environmental conditions. We will have one system doing everything, solving everything from the complex safety scenarios for autonomous driving, ensuring the optimal driver state, acting as the co-pilot while the pilot assist function is working, and helping in low-speed maneuvering. We know that our customers have different needs, and the technology evolution will happen gradually. But our one pilot strategy will offer the user support in 3 different modes of operation. We will evolve all those in parallel, and we call them drive, cruise, and ride. Mats, please explain how these 3 work.
It's super cool. In drive, entirely new level of safety helps the driver to avoid collisions by providing information, warnings, and automatic braking and steering interventions. In cruise, the level of technology on board provides relief by controlling the vehicle motion under driver supervision, while maintaining the same world-class safety in drive. In ride, the user is free to do something else behind the steering wheel. Ride is offered in a limited operating region, which will gradually expand. In our case, aiming at highway first, we are always safe. Today, we have drive and cruise. Tomorrow, with our next generation of cars, we will have all 3, drive, cruise, and ride. And we are heading towards a future with more autonomous driving.
So let's conclude. The next generation of safety leadership is about having 0 collisions. This is our North Star as we develop autonomous driving technologies.
Over the years, we have delivered numerous groundbreaking safety technologies. Now we are taking that safety vision to the next level and aiming for a future where collision no longer happen.
And the technologies for full autonomy can radically reduce accidents in all driving scenarios. And this is why hardware is standard, continuously improving software through over-the-air updates, and real-time data collection and machine learning pave the way to 0 collisions.
0 collision is the right way to go. The prerequisites for developing the ultimate safe car have never been better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mats and Ödjard. Please come and sit in the sofa. Join. Do we have a partner on link? Let's see if we have Austin Russell with us on link across the globe. 2 minutes for Austin. Okay, so before we say hello to Austin, let's give the word to you, Håkan. Now, we listened to Mats and Ödjard here, and we heard a lot about technology on the car. We're equipping cars as standard with RNX technology, with Luminar lidar technology, etc. That really comes to a quite high cost. Can we afford that?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to see it together with the value, of course. So, the value is to really build the safest car possible using all technology available. So, I mean, a car with a lidar will be safer than a car with just cameras. And of course, Volvo need to really use all available technology. So Yes, I think we cannot afford not having a lidar on a Volvo when the technology is ready.
And as you said, Mats, we have proven before that it turns out that that was quite a clever choice.
Yes.
Moving over to you, Ödjad, a colleague of yours, Mohammed, showed a very interesting video the other day of a prototype that you're running, driving on Road 180 from Borås to Gothenburg. Can you tell us a bit about that?
It's a quite cool film, right? You can hear in the background the enthusiasm of the designers. So it's actually both of our teams are collaborating now, and I mean the phase we're in the development right now. It's still a little bit rough. We haven't fully optimized the system, but we see some really promising performance, and that's what you could see. And those difficult roads we were driving on.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
And the algorithm is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. And now I can see we have Austin here as well. Do we have audio with you? Welcome, Austin.
We do. Great. Thanks so much. You guys are ahead of schedule already. That's great. I'm excited to join all you.
You know, we can't wait to transform.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are moving quick, but excited to be a part of all of this too. And congrats on the awesome launch and news just a handful of days ago here, and kicking off this great event too, and kind of showing the whole tech forward nature. So happy to help answer any questions as well.
Yeah, so let's give you the proper introduction then. Welcome, Austin Russell, the CEO and founder of Luminar, and also the inventor, I believe, of the famous lidar we just talked about that we will standardize on our next generation of cars. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Great. So, I mean, as we said now a number of times, we're the first company to introduce your lidar in production as standard. So I know that you have a view that really all car makers should go this way. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when it comes down to this, a lot of the focus has been around these kinds of forward-looking LiDAR technologies, around the autonomous aspects and the potential here. And that's where, of course, about a year or so ago, we announced together with Volvo that they were really going to be taking a lead position to focus in on the highway-specific autonomy problem and solve something that's in a much more constrained environment that could be realized in the near future. And that was something that was really caused a lot of stir and shakeup that caused a lot of people to follow. But when it comes down to it, I think for the next generation systems and technologies, this is the first time this kind of highly sophisticated LiDAR system is being implemented not just for the autonomy use case, but for the basic safety aspects of a vehicle. Like, and what does that mean? Well, at the end of the day, I mean, we still lose 1.3 million lives on the road, globally. Tens of millions of serious injuries and accidents, and all these that we've come to accept as a society are just completely preventable if we can, or at least 95% of them by human error, if we can actually advance the basic safety capabilities of the vehicle. And that's the question now, is that if you have a life-saving technology and something that can make some of the biggest difference that we've seen for different safety technologies over the course of automotive history, why should that be optional? There's no airbag or seatbelt upgrade package on a vehicle, and this should be no different in many ways. And awesome to see you guys leading the charge and then some.
Yeah, thank you. For me, this journey started really back in 2017, I believe, when I met you the first time and you showed your LiDAR system. Back in the day, so to say. When did this journey start for you?
Yeah, so for me, it started back in 2012, vision to build a new type of LiDAR sensing system, and a solution holistically for the autonomous vehicle and automotive industry. And, I think, yeah, it was awesome. We actually worked in stealth mode for about 5 years, just deep down in the technology, building all the different components from the ground up in order to be able to create a solution that could have this level of capability, this level of performance, and something that could actually ultimately go into production vehicles. And that was the focus from day one, is that there was a lot of focus on kind of the autonomous vehicle robo-taxi world, but we saw the opportunity of working directly with the OEMs in the passenger vehicle production market. And that was where it was awesome to see kind of the forward-looking nature and vision of you guys, back in the original engagement in 2016, I think. And it was, I think the first time one of your engineers saw the point cloud, they almost fell out of their chair. So it was the classic saying. But it was awesome to see things progress, and it just goes to show what you can do when you have these tight relationships and partnerships. Yeah. And obviously, you guys made a great early bet, for us as an investment as well. And that's where it allows us to be able to accelerate things and partnerships of things that, may normally take a decade in the automotive industry. We've been able to pull off together in just a couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet that must have been Andreas Wallin who almost fell out of the chair. I remember his face when he told me about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. Sort of a common question here, that's sort of my last also. You're going now to market together, Zenseact and Luminar, as a package with hardware and software. How is that going? Is there good business out there?
Yeah, so let me start and then Austin can fill in. As you know, we have a partnership also where we see a lot of interest in the combination of the software we develop and the hardware and software that's developed by Luminar and the lidar. So we are actually really excited about this. And there's, of course, we can't mention names, but there's a lot of interest now from multiple regions to also a little bit later than you are, but picking up.
Do you want to add to that, Austin?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys are leading the charge, right? And that's where it's awesome to see you forming this, this kind of software subsidiary, Zenseact. It just makes a lot of sense there too in terms of what you have going on. But when it comes to the broader OEM landscape, I think what people are seeing, and I've even gotten notes from a lot of other auto OEM CEOs following the announcement that we had just last week, and I think that the broader notion has been like, wait, what just happened? So this is really happening, and not next decade, this decade, it's kicking off. And this is where the excitement has only really continued to build and start, where they're seeing this as kind of almost a halo in many respects of what a vehicle can be, and want to be able to model themselves after that. And obviously, you guys have done that before, and in times previous with new kinds of breakthrough safety technologies in for the day, for what it's worth. But I think that this time is something that we're seeing the entire industry revolutionize at an unprecedented rate of change. But with that, I think sometimes there's a lot of talk, but with you guys taking it seriously and really actually making this happen, putting your money where your mouth is, so to say, it's what makes all the difference for the industry, and a lot of people are looking up to you.
Thanks for that, Austin. Let's move to Nikki and see if there are any live questions coming in.
Yeah, we've got lots of live questions coming in. Just before I jump into them, just to say to people where we're getting questions on future sessions, we will come back to them a little bit later. But getting straight into them, we have a question here from Nicholas Rolanda at Bloomberg, which is, would you define cruise to be the equivalent to level 2 or level 3 autonomous drive?
So let's hear what Mats wants to share about that.
I mean, normally we are not talking about levels. It's so difficult to put a definition on it. So, but basically, it's the cruise control of today that we will help the driver in a good, comfortable way going forward.
And ride would be then follow-up question. Ride would be level 3 or 4? Or?
Ride is when the car is driving for you.
Yes.
So we typically like to talk about supervised versus unsupervised. And we think that's a more clear definition, and where we would say that ride is an unsupervised. The car is driving for you, where cruise is supervised, and you need to always be in control as a human.
Good. Correct. So another question here on the ride mode. Will the steering wheel move out of the way partially or completely when it's in ride mode?
That's a question for Mats again.
Right now, we still think that the steering will be in its position, even if we have in the past shown a concept car with that, the Concept 26.
Great. And is the processing done on the sensors or on something like a central GPU?
Well, I think that's part of the next session. We will hear about how the central compute will be built. So but we have already sort of revealed that there is some Orin X technology in there.
Good. And how do you safeguard the control systems against software corruption or worse, cyber attacks?
That's a good question. Do you want to take a stab, Ödjard?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a multi-layer protection system with everything from physical to software protection systems. And we also monitor the systems continuously to make sure no anomalies occur.
Good. And jumping back to this supervised, unsupervised part, can you clarify, does unsupervised mean level 4, meaning that the driver will not need to take over driving until the vehicle leaves, or until the vehicle needs it? Do you have a target date for when this ride functionality will be available?
Yeah, let's split that question up in two. I think I can...
Yes, please.
Sorry to be a bit repetitive, but we rather talk about unsupervised versus supervised. And then, of course, there is a whole process which is extremely careful and important for a safe handover between human and drive and the car driving itself, which, of course, then is part of the definition why I think the levels are somewhat blurry to talk about. So we rather talk about unsupervised versus supervised. Coming back to the timeline, we will always do safety first. So it's more important for us to be sure that we equip these cars with the right hardware that will be capable to do this once we have verified and validated that it is safe. And we can use that hardware to collect data and make sure that we are safe before we turn it on. And I think we should also be quite clear that we expect this to turn on geographically, location by location. Basically, we have to sign off road by road before we activate this. So this will not be a global on-off at once. So it will happen and grow very much like the mobile network grew back in the days before it was global. Anything to add on that, Mats?
Just the speed.
The speed?
Yeah. Doing it in a slow speed and increasing it, probably.
Yeah.
A related question just come in. Will it work in all weather conditions, or will snow, heavy rain or dirt hamper it?
Maybe I can comment on that. I mean, it will work less well for certain sensors under certain conditions, as I was talking about in the keynote as well. So I think we can envision extreme conditions where we would not allow the functionality to be on. And then we will only turn it on where it's safe. So where the sensors are able to work in a good way. But having both the lidar, the radar, and the cameras, of course, help us to be safe in more various conditions.
Great. And we've talked quite a bit about data, so I'm going to pick on a few of these the questions coming in that are related to data. So, will real-time data gathered from the cars only be used to refine and boost safety systems, or could they be employed elsewhere?
So, I mean, of course, Volvo decides for Volvo cars, but I think the intent is not to use that as something that we sell to make money off of it. And we anonymize whatever we can anonymize, and we use it to improve our functions.
And, I mean, we have collected data from real-world accidents from 50 years back and kind of collected that to give a better and safer traffic. So.
But I think it's also interesting because customers for Volvo are probably very interested in car safety. And with this system also they can really contribute to development of safer cars and safer traffic. So I think our customers will be very glad and very proud to be able to contribute with that.
Good. And let's talk a little bit, Håkan, you mentioned this previously, but we're aware of other car companies who are only using cameras, and we're talking about the inclusion of lidar. Why do we think this is necessary, and what's the decision behind this route?
It's really, but I can try to, if you give the question to me. I mean, you will see, you have another source of vision. I mean, we also have cameras, of course, you have radars, but you have lidar on top, and it sees better, and all of this will be blended in the computer vision system. So the car is going to see better, and I mean, with that also it's going to be a safer car. So, and coming back a bit to the question about you had, Henrik, about the cost. and also to Austin, I think is a really good example here. We're not talking about one device to put on the roof of the car. We are talking about something really strengthening the brand and increasing the value. But also when it comes to cost, don't forget also the cost called insurance, which we now for all our electric cars will have insurance included. And of course, a car that is speed limited, a car that has the best computer vision on the market will be a lower cost to insure. So the total cost for mobility, and that's really what we are going after, has to be taken into consideration when you answer the question you gave me earlier, Henry.
Yeah. I mean, zero collisions. That's some impact on insurance.
And insurance costs should go down.
I'm quite curious, Austin, what's your view on the camera versus LiDAR performance total system?
So I mean, as we can see with these systems today, I mean, there's some base level performance that, you know, the cameras and radars and other stuff of this world have certainly been able to, you know, incrementally increase vehicle safety. But when it comes down to it, I mean, people still get in accidents all the time, even almost in surprisingly basic scenarios. Like, you would think programming a car to make it so that you can't hit the thing right in front of you when you're driving, it would be an easy thing to do. Turns out it's actually really hard. And why? Because you need a ground truth understanding of everything going on around you. And that's exactly what these whole next generation Volvo cars are going to do, is that you can now see down to centimeter level precision everything that's going on around you, measuring millions of points out there for what's happening in the environment that's almost like superhuman in many respects, that they can have that level of almost kind of divine intervention for the vehicle when it senses something is going awry. So we think that makes all the difference. And you know, one other note as well, you know, beyond just the increasing the vehicle safety and the autonomy stuff that LiDAR can enable, and then the Zentract, you know, software along with some of the stuff we're doing, is you know, you're talking about, like, you know, data vehicle. The thing is that to improve these vehicle features and to make it of significance and to expand that network, you just need vehicles on road. And one thing that I think is could be overlooked is, you know, with the Volvo guys here, but an important aspect of all of this is that, I mean, you're about to have, you know, more vehicles on road than probably everyone else combined when you kick off in terms of the broader autonomous vehicle landscape, because you're really getting out there in these series production cars and deploying it on a global basis. When you're talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of cars out there, I mean, that makes a huge difference globally for everyone, and it's a network effects of improving the safety. So that safety lead ends up actually manifesting into something even much broader as you deploy and as you scale. So it's kind of cool to see how it all comes together when you have it as standard, and when you have the same hardware that can enable those base safety capabilities as, you know, the autonomy capabilities as well.
Great.
Good. And Austin's just touched on it, but just to be very clear, will it just be the new flagship SUV that has the LiDAR as standard, or will it be other Volvos as well?
Well, that's almost a question I was planning to ask later, but that's a good one. Let's go to Håkan. Is it only the top of the line car models that will get this?
I mean, I assume this will work fantastically, and it will give us safer cars. And then, of course, if there is technology available that can save life, I think it's very difficult to see that as optional. I mean, exactly somebody said, I mean, seat belts and airbags are not optional. If they proven to be safer, we will have it on our new generation. We are really now the first of its kind is now the new architecture, born electric, central compute.
Yeah.
Those cars should also be the safest cars possible.
Good. We're running short on time now, so I'm just going to try and get a couple of quick ones in. One here. How does the regulatory authorities judge the responsibility in case of an incident? Who is responsible? Is it the driver, or is it us as the car maker?
Yeah, I can have a go. I think this is what we talked about before with unsupervised versus supervised. So when we go into the ride mode, which is unsupervised, then the car is in control, and thereby the car is responsible. And in this case, Volvo is responsible. And when we are in the supervised mode, the driver is responsible. And then we do everything to assist the driver and help them where they have kind of shortcomings, but they are responsible.
Good. And a very quick one in our last minute. How will a ride-controlled car communicate with others if there's no driver driving the car?
How the car will communicate?
Will the car communicate with other cars around it?
Yeah, so already today, if you want to connect your car, you can already with cars that are out on the road. And I see this growing thing where we will share much more knowledge, for instance, like conditions on the road or things that can improve safety.
Right. I think that's all we've got time for, so I'm going to leave to you now.
Thank you, Nikki. And that means, Austin and Mats and Ödjard, that we will thank you so much for joining us here today. An amazing first session. And it's time for us to kick off the second session. So it's been alluded to already in a question that by processing all of this information that comes from the lidar, that comes from all the radars and the cameras, and actually also process a lot of other functions and features that the customer wants being connected in the car, etc. We need compute power, and we need probably quite a lot of compute power. So the next session here is talking about how do we achieve that together. So please welcome Patrik Bengtsson talking us through next session.
Thank you, Henrik. Major intersecting technological changes are redefining the automotive industry at a pace and scale without equivalent in other industrial sectors. We're seeing multiple simultaneous transformations in the digitalization of the car and its connected services, as well as in electrification. The changes we see coming in autonomy, electrification, and connectivity has one common enabler, and that is software. Software is continuously increasing in volume, complexity, and value. Eventually, it will impact, transform, or even disrupt every part of the automotive industry. To be successful, we need to embrace this change and leverage from it, utilizing all the advantages the software can provide. We believe in the software-defined car, where the majority of features are moving to become software-based. And instead of being recognized for what suspension or engine type it has, a car will be defined by its software-driven functions and features. It will also be defined by the ability to flexibly add software-based content during its life cycle, making it better and more customizable according to what customers want. With this reality in mind, we are optimizing our customer experience. And one key ability would be the frequent and continuous over-the-air software deployment to our customer cars throughout their life cycle. Car will no longer be at the best when they leave the factory, but rather constantly improved through new software and feature updates. We have already started this journey in today's cars, providing full software updates. And this is something we will expand even further going forward. The continuous over-the-air update stream will provide our customers with unprecedented value add, and we'll also see the opportunity to move towards subscription-based services, which will provide us ability to, over time, monetize on this value stream. And as we're moving towards a car where software is the important asset, we're expanding our in-house development of software. By taking charge of our own software development, We can boost development speeds and improve your Volvo faster. Our next generation of pure electric models will run our own operating system, called Volvo Cars OS. This incorporates our various operating systems across the car, cloud, and creating one coherent software OS environment. But more on that later. Currently, our electrical architecture consists of a distributed compute system with more than 100 electrical control units, or ECUs. These are sourced as combined packages of hardware and software. Basically, they're electrical boxes with compiled code from different suppliers that we integrate into our car architecture. They control the behavior in devices such as, for example, a rear parking camera. And this structure requires several handovers in the development cycle, with significant efforts on our part in terms of requirement specification, transfer of knowledge to and from suppliers, and massive integration work. And as software becomes more complex, these integration efforts grow exponentially and increase lead time in our development. When key software is owned by suppliers, the ability to faster evolve, adjust, and deploy updates to meet customer demands are limited. It also means ultimately the experience we want to give customers largely come from suppliers and not from us. To support our vision of a software-defined car, we are transforming our car's electrical architecture with our new core system, which is set to be revealed in 2022. We're creating a computer on wheels, capable of running the carefully crafted Volvo experience we want to offer customers. And instead of relying on hundreds of ECUs all over the car, we are moving towards a centralized computing system, our core system. And over here we have one example of our core computer. So this computer has massive CPU, GPU, memory. We will deploy 2 of these into every car. We'll also connect our Android infotainment system into this network that they communicate over, an high-speed Ethernet network. And they will communicate with the mechatronic rim through gateways. So this is our core computer, as you see first example of here. The computer manages tasks like general computing, vision processing, and machine learning. It runs all software controlling the behavior of the vehicle, and it's supported by significant in-house development. You can call this core system the brain of the car, and then the connected devices, the muscles that generate the behavior customers are experiencing. And this shift to centralized computing allows us to gradually separate hardware from software. By separating hardware from software, we won't have to solely rely on supplier-provided ECUs to produce the behavior we want. We will have a greater control of the customer experience, which is something we want to develop on our own. And by doing that, we can bring out the full potential of the software-defined car, while rapidly increasing the flexibility and speed in our development cycles. And with our core system and in-house software tech stack, we create full control of the integration flow from code to complete car. One example of the speed and flexibility that gives us can be seen in bug resolving. With supplier code, it can take us 1, but often several weeks from discovering bug to resolving it. With our in-house team, that process takes a workday. For function development, we can see similar significant speed improvements when we move from supplier code to in-house developed. We have examples of moving from 2 years to 3 months for similar work packages. That is an 8 times speed improvement. Our software stack is derived by principles of continuous development and continuous release. It's built for growth, and it enables our features to keep expanding. One example is our pilot assist function, which allows for driver support from standstill up to highway speeds. When running on this core system, we can start to evolve it into autonomous capabilities. The core system computing is a computing powerhouse developed with our guiding star of safety and security first. We believe in partnering with technology leaders when it makes sense, which is why we're collaborating with Nvidia. Our partnership gives us access to the fastest and best computing currently available. We will use the Nvidia Drive Orin system on a chip. I will be the first to market with this technology. In our first generation of the system, we will use 2 compute boxes, where both have the capability to execute low and high ASIL code. We'll distribute the workload between the boxes through our distributed service framework. We're centralizing compute-heavy functions like pilot assist, autonomous drive, motion control, and we're moving logic from around 10 larger ECUs into the core system, including logic from such as cameras and lidars. This will enable us to continuously collect data, train algorithms, improve and add new functions. This is something we will do for new as well as for customer cars. In our second iteration of the core system, we continue to evolve our in-house software stack. We increase centralization and optimize the mechanical integration. The 2 core compute boxes will be merged into one, still using Nvidia SoCs. We will introduce some controllers, will allow us to centralize more ECUs, reducing the number of ECUs by around 50. With fewer ECUs, we also reduce weight and improve the car energy efficiency, and in turn reducing the running costs for our customers. We can also reduce weight significantly by developing the mechanical platform and the electrical architecture hand in hand. For example, by optimizing the mechanical platform and placement of sensors and actuators with the cable harnesses in mind, we are reducing the cable length by more than 700 meters per car. All right, let's move back to the Volvo Car OS. I said in the beginning that it's our own OS, but it's not exactly true. We use a number of underlying operating systems, including Android, QNX, AutoSAR, and Linux, which we bind together into one coherent software platform. Work on this in-house software started with the Android development in 2017, and the platform is now extended to incorporate the core system as well as vehicle applications and the cloud. The stack is covering all key onboard systems, such as Android infotainment, connectivity, vehicle control, and ADAS. The extension into cloud covers applications such as connected safety and car remote functions. Through a variety of APIs, the Volvo Car OS gives developers access to in-car features such as vehicle control, vehicle sensor data, user interfaces, and cloud-based features, for example, fleet data. This allows developers to create new services and applications for Volvo cars. The Volvo Cars OS will make it easier for both internal and third-party developers to create new features and functions for cars. And we're open to outside development. In our open innovation portal, we have more than 400 registered developers, and more keep coming in. The portal has attracted several third-party companies that are now developing apps using the Android SDK, emulator, and open APIs that we provide. And vice versa, the third-party collaboration is also helping us drive the evolution of our open innovation portal. The portal is gradually extended with more APIs and larger coverage of the vehicle platform, enabling more innovation and, down the line, a broader offer of high-quality services and in-car apps for our customers. By being open for third-party development, we're also offering developers to create their business through our platform. In-house software development is one of our cornerstones. Today, we have over 200 software development teams. And that number is growing and will continue to grow for some time. That's good because we're currently riding on a wave of major technological changes that are dramatically changing the way that we work. And in the middle of that, software is a driving factor. We're adapting by evolving from being predominantly a product company focusing on cars into becoming more of a service-based tech company. And we believe that strong software professionals are key for future success. And we're constantly looking for software talent across the globe. And we're not only developing in-house software for our cars. It also extends into all our systems, such as cloud, online business, and IT support systems. And all these areas grow every day with more in-house software professionals. These people are essential for providing speed in continuous development, integration, and deployment, as well as outstanding innovation. Right now, around 30% of our car software is developed internally. And with the introduction of our new core system, we will double that to 60% and then continue to steadily grow the amount of in-house software. Our in-house development makes sure that we build and evolve from using super strong technology stacks. We build using well-established open source, such as Android and Linux. We employ open APIs that enable third-party innovation. Our in-house development capability also gives us the ability to collaborate effectively with key technology partners, such as Nvidia and Google. These partnerships are essential to us, since it's much more effective than trying to do everything on our own. And to wrap it up, I think there are 3 key takeaways from this session. First is that the core system is a computing powerhouse, the foundation for high development speed and continuous deployment to our cars. And second is that our in-house software development teams are the key asset to build and evolve the Volvo Car OS, which enables high innovation speed for Volvo, as well as for our partners. And finally, as software is a key cornerstone for us, we're always looking for software talent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Please come and join us here in the sofa. And from Nvidia, that brings the amazing Xavier and OrinX technology to the table that we build the core computer on. Please also welcome very much Ali Khani, the Nvidia VP of Automotive, to join us here on Link. Welcome.
Hi, nice to see you guys. Great to be here.
Hi, good to have you here. So let's start, Ali, with you. I mean, the obvious first question here is, how did Nvidia, mostly known for gaming graphic cards, become such a leader in technology in automotive in such a short time frame?
So, we started in automotive 20 years ago, and, we started to see an opportunity where the industry was transforming and started to value becoming a software-defined computer. These vehicles wanting to be computers started off for us as, an opportunity to use our graphics in cars and, let's say, the infotainment market. But over time, we saw advancements in robotics technology, deep learning, really start to kick off areas where we can add value to our customers. So that was about 10 years ago with, the rise of AV in automotive. And once all of those sort of forces came together, it just became a great opportunity for Nvidia to come in, build disruptive high-performance computers that are designed to support, high-performance computing, deep learning, safety, security, put all of those things together in a single computer. And so, it really kicked off our opportunity to be successful in this market.
So, a curious question here again. I mean, now, obviously, we can see 2 industries coming together here, the traditional tech industry with the traditional automotive industry. So would you dare share with us a bit frankly, how has it been working together with Volvo Cars over the last few years?
So, I have to say that, Volvo has been a leader in thinking about the vehicle as being software defined. We talk about, everyone in the industry says our car is going to be software defined. We want to build it a certain way. But Volvo has been, almost our first partner who really had this vision to put a high performance computer in their vehicle lineup, and also to ship a car with the full sensor set. And that takes a huge risk for the company because they're putting a additional cost in the car because they believe in the vision that the car will get better after the day you buy it. That you can continue to provide new services, new applications to the car over the life of not just a buyer, but over the life of a car, because there'll be a second buyer for the car. And so for us, it's been an honor and privilege to work with Volvo. It's been a few generations now, and this car, these cars that we're talking about here with the Polestar and the XC90 are really exciting cars that are going to be disruptive to the industry.
Thank you, and absolutely likewise. So, speaking of that vision, which has been key to us, I can talk for myself, but also let's hear, Håkan, you really singled out the core computing in your opening speech as part of the strategic pillars here and what we will talk about today. When you listen to Patrick and Ali Khani here from Nvidia, do you want to reflect further on how important that is for us?
Yes, one already in the previous session was clear. To really have a really good computer vision system, you need more computing power, you need to blend the different signals and so on. But when it comes to basically the whole experience in the car, which we really want to deliver and differentiate, of course, from others, we want to have a Volvo experience, then you can develop that much more flexible and faster compared to just specifying functionality and getting it in black boxes. So it will be faster in development, and if you add up all the costs for all boxes compared with central one, I believe at the end we will also have cost advantages.
Absolutely. So, here in the note actually comes my question now, which we already got from the audience in the previous session. So you already answered that. Yes, we will have the compute power and the lidar standard also in smaller, more affordable cars. Yeah. So let's take just another question on top of my mind to you, Patrick. How can the customer really see the difference here? We're talking about the core computer in the middle of the floor. What's in it for the end user?
I think what's in it for the end user is really the speed that we can deploy new content with. So we can be innovative, and we can deploy continuously new content over a longer life period for the customer when they own the car. So I think that would be a great benefit.
And it's always difficult to say what has not been invented yet, and that's the whole point here. We open up for innovation.
Yeah.
Ali, back to you. What types of new applications and use cases will your next generation of automotive processors enable?
Yeah, I think with self-driving cars, we feel like the needs for computing are going to continue to grow. We're talking about centralization today, and Volvo is doing some really exciting things, integrating multiple functions that used to be on multiple computers on a single car, but there's still more computers to integrate into the car. And so, we're really trying to invest in the ability to support all of these disparate applications at the same time on a single computer while maintaining quality of service, and being able to make sure that safe applications run, seamlessly, and without risk of other applications that are running in the car. The other thing is as a vehicle becomes a software-defined computer that you update, you need security. The requirements of security in a vehicle will continue to grow. We have to make sure that nobody can hack an autonomous vehicle. It's so scary to think about autonomous vehicle driving and someone's trying to hack it. And so some of the things that we're doing within our Mellanox business for data center level security and reliability and networking, all of that technology needs to go into an automobile. An automobile essentially is going to be a data center on wheels. And so we're really investing to improve the networking performance and security within, our upcoming products, such that, as Volvo continues to update and provide new services and functions over the life of the car, they can do that safely and securely.
Yeah. You talk now about how more and more historically distributed computer system in single ECUs are merging into a centralized core computer. You also showed that, Patrick, in your keynote. What is the end game here, and when will all of that compute move up in the cloud? I mean, you also showed that the cloud is part of the Volvo Cars.os. Do you see the whole stack move up to the cloud one day, Patrick?
I think I have a hard time seeing the whole stack moving up. I think we need to move it gradually, function by function, and today we'll also be very dependent on the connectivity. So if you have great connectivity and 5G with low latency, I mean, we could possibly move quite a lot of functionality up. But once you drop out to 3G or 4G, or maybe even drop connectivity completely, I mean, what kind of experience do we want to offer the customer?
The car should continue to move.
We can drop a bit of the experience, but we cannot drop a whole lot, because that will not be felt really, really well. So I think that gradually we have moved a bit, and gradually we'll move more. Yeah. But to see the whole stack going out, I think that's quite far-fetched right now, at least.
Another top-of-mind question here: will we go open source?
We are using open source today in a number of places, and we are also open sourcing parts of what we're doing, and that's definitely an option, that we open source the complete package. It might be more of a timing issue, maybe. We're not ready right now, but absolutely we are very welcoming for open source and also standardization in our area.
Great. Let's move over to you, Nikki.
Yep, we've got lots of questions coming in. So we'll start with one here from Henning Cosman at HSBC. Please, can you tell us a bit more about your plans for vertical integration of hardware and software? Will you work with key partners, and how much will you pursue an in-house approach?
Let's see what you say to that, Patrick.
Of course, we work with a number of partners. Now, basically, all suppliers where we're starting to separate hardware and software, we need to onboard them basically one by one into this new journey. We are owning, for example, the IP of the central compute on our own, also the hardware. But I don't envision that we own all hardware IP on our own. We will definitely need suppliers to support us with hardware and components, and also ECUs for a long time.
Anything you'd like to add on the strategy, even in a general term, Håkan?
No, I mean, today we buy software and the black box. I think in the future, of course, we can develop the software ourselves. But I think it's also mentioned here, of course, we'll be open to buy only the software. So we can run it on our computer. I mean, we don't need to do everything ourselves. We need to really control it to be able to change this fast. But we need access to the code, I would say. Cannot be any more black box thinking. Because it's too slow, and will not strengthen our brand.
Yeah, I think that's key. I mean, control here, or ownership, speed, that can be done through partnership. We have a great partner here online with us, Nvidia, and we can do it ourselves in-house. I think I would say another trend here that I see is that these highly integrated systems that are built of both hardware and software coming from a single supplier, I see that decline. And I do that for the reason of combining too many of those together becomes simply too complex. So I'd see us go vertically integrated on hardware as units built to print or standalone, and software. It can be in-house, it can be partnerships, but I don't see these super combined systems grow as they have during the last 2 decades.
It's too much limiting us in our innovation and ability to do new things. As things are moving so fast in the software business, it's hard to 3 years in advance, 4 years in advance, really realize what will be needed. So we need that opportunity to change along the route, so to say. And then this gives us a freedom to make this separation and centralizing.
Exactly.
Okay. And why 2 core computers? What are the different functions for each, and how long will it take until you have one?
to have one or two is a little bit of a packaging issue in the car. We are using them a little bit differently today. One is running more of vehicle control and some more basic stuff that we need for the vehicle, and the other one is using a little bit more of autonomous capabilities and pilot assist capabilities. So we use them a little bit differently. But in the second generation, we will repackage them into one box, and that will make like a cooling and powering and so on more effective. So we're on that journey. It's basically a journey.
Good. And we have a question from Evo Malaysia. Would it be true to say that without a combustion engine to manage, the software control development of an electric car is a substantially simpler process?
Well, I might be the one to answer that. I mean, Håkan revealed here I used to work in the area. I think it is, from some sense, you lose a lot of super complex and advanced mechatronics where you have a real-time system that needs to deal with the physics of an internal combustion engine and the emissions, etc., which is really at the front and has been for the last 20 years, I believe, in the front of a mechatronic system combined with software. I believe, however, to say that it will be less or less complicated software in total on an electric vehicle will not be true neither, because the expectation that we see on these next generation of car just massively increase. But then we talk about usually different, much more customer-oriented functions and features. How do we provide the infotainment? How do we provide the connectivity? How does the car know what you want to do this afternoon? Or how does it know where to go or where to charge or actually pay for that charging without you knowing it, etc.? So there is a different kind of software, but I see more and more software going in, even in the electric vehicles.
Great. We're out of time for this session, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to remind people that we've got lots of questions that have come in that we haven't answered yet. So if you'd like to get answers for those questions, or if you've got more questions to ask, please switch to the extended Q&A session on LiveStream 2, and Patrick will go and continue taking your questions there. But in the meantime, let's carry on.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Nikki, and thank you so much, Ali, for joining us, and thank you, Patrick, for joining us. And let's move over now. Thank you. So let's move over now to a topic which is, I believe, of most important to most of, if not all, new car buyers of an electric vehicle. How far can I drive on one charge, and how fast can I charge it back up? So let's talk about electrification in the sense of batteries and e-propulsion. And welcome Lutz Stiegler and Erik Severinsson to the stage. Welcome.
Thank you, Henrik. For 94 years, we have had combustion engines in our cars. But now we have made a choice. By the end of this decade, all our vehicles will be electric. We had made a choice to discontinue our development of new combustion engine vehicles and divest our combustion engine-related operations. This will allow us to focus fully and wholeheartedly on electrification. We intend to set the pace within our industry in the global transition towards zero-emission mobility. This is absolutely key for the world reaching the net zero emission by 2050 and limiting the impact of global warming. We can maybe discuss the future in terms of volumes and growth, but we will be an electric mobility company by the end of this decade. There simply is no turning back. For us, the future is electric, and we will fulfill our purpose to provide freedom to move in a personal, sustainable, and safe way.
At Volvo Cars, we made the decision to fully focus on battery electric vehicles. The reason for that is the unmatched efficiency of a battery electric driveline for passenger cars. We need to focus now because of the long lead time for industrialization of that new technology and the long lifetime of our cars, since the cars we produce today will still be on the road in the next decade. To make that journey a success, we need to provide uncompromised mobility. And for that, our customers can expect long range and fast charging. Our batteries are the key for that.
With our dramatic growth in plug-in hybrid sales, we have experienced a consumer appetite for electrified vehicles. With the strong volume growth and increased energy density, we have learned firsthand the powerful shift in consumer demand towards cars with a cord. Last quarter alone, 40% of our sales in Europe were plug-in hybrids. Our success with these cars have taught us valuable lessons on how to engineer and industrialize the future battery systems for our electric vehicles, and we will build on this in our transition to fully electric cars.
Today, we have lithium-ion batteries with nickel-based cathodes and graphite anodes. This is a very mature technology with still some growth potential for the next 5 to 10 years. Major changes and optimizations have been done mainly on the cathode side to increase the nickel content and reduce cobalt. Now we are adding silicon to the graphite in the anode to increase energy density even more. With these improvements, we will achieve an energy density significantly beyond 700 watt-hours per liter. But the next big step will also be done mainly on the anode side. We will get different material combinations there, up to pure lithium metal anodes. Together with new separators and electrolytes with different properties, we will approach real solid-state batteries. Those batteries will provide an energy density in the magnitude of 1,000 watt-hours per liter. Similar integration levels that we will discuss later more in detail, we will provide a range of 1,000-kilometer real customer drive. We expect that technology to be mature on a large scale in the second half of this decade.
We believe that the shift towards fully electric vehicles will depend on how fast we will see better attributes and lower cost provided by these battery systems. This is why we will have developed our third generation of BEV batteries already by the middle of this decade. Batteries which will feature new ways of integration into the car, further improving the efficiency of the electric propulsion system.
In the current electric cars, we use the first generation of our batteries, made by dual layers of standardized VDA modules. The second generation is that one here, right behind me. That one enables a completely flat floor in the car, with 40% more energy due to tailor-made modules and the increased energy density. Based on our experience with the cells, we developed together with our suppliers and the use in our cars since 2012, we will be able to produce batteries on a quality level that allows a completely different way of cell integration. That we will utilize in generation 3. In this generation, we significantly reduce the material that does not contribute to energy storage. Instead, we use the aluminum cans of the prismatic cell to build a structural pack. We do this in gluing the cells together and combine them with a plate on top and on the bottom. And so we create a sandwich structure. That sandwich structure of the battery will actually be the floor of the car. With this approach, we achieve lower weight, higher energy density on the vehicle level, higher torsional stiffness of the entire car, and a better thermal management of the battery. That allows to deliver with the same level of safety more than 20% higher energy. And those batteries will be sealed for life.
We will not gradually change over to fully electric vehicles. We will simply replace our present cars with fully electrified versions when we roll out our new architectures designed for full electric vehicles only. At the same time, we will continue to grow our sales at an even higher pace than we have in the past years. This will mean that we need to secure a dramatic increase in battery cell capacity, going from only 4 gigawatt hours in 2020 to over 70 gigawatt hours globally by the middle of this decade. To achieve this, we need to secure our future capacity, both through strategic partnerships and through buying cells from top industry suppliers. To use cells and Volvo-specific modules from leading suppliers was the first step. In the future, we will go more and more into vertical integration throughout the battery value chain. By a better control of the value chain, we will not only be able to make it more efficient and optimized for our needs. More importantly, this will enable us to ensure a sustainable management of batteries all the way from the mine to the end of life. This is a race, and only collaborators will win. If we would do everything ourselves, it would take too long time for us to change, and we would simply not be able to develop and produce in-house cells in time to support our expected growth. To be able to fully steer our transformation, gain speed as well as knowledge, we will seek the strategic partnerships with the best in the industry.
A proof point of this strategy is our planned partnership with Northvolt that we recently announced. This partnership is built on 3 main pillars. In the first step, we will join forces to develop the next generation batteries utilizing Northvolt's excellent cell design and manufacturing capability and our system and integration knowledge. Together, we will develop tailor-made cells with the next generation chemistry towards solid-state attributes.
In the second part of our collaboration, we plan to source 15 gigawatt hours of annual capacity with the Northvolt 1 plant in Skellefteå, Sweden. This will start in 2024 in order to meet our capacity ramp-up of electric vehicles. The third step is to build a new gigafactory of up to 50 gigawatt hours of annual capacity. Combined, this will secure supply for the next generation of fully electric Volvos built in Europe. Together with Northvolt, we also plan to take the next steps towards sustainable production of battery cells by using both renewable energy as well as integrated recycling to ensure that the valuable metals and minerals can be used again. This will help to substantially reduce emissions from battery cell production, which currently is one of the most carbon-intensive steps in electric vehicle production. With this fantastic collaboration, we will join forces with a partner that share our fundamental belief in sustainable mobility.
Another important in-house product is the software that controls and monitors the batteries. We have a long history of in-house software in Volvo Cars propulsion systems, and the battery control software in our current battery electric vehicles is made in-house as well. That allows highest battery cell utilization while having a maximum of safety in operation. This in-house software strategy also allows us to actively learn from our customers using field data, while of course adhering to highest standards of data privacy. Together with our over-the-air strategy, that enables us to provide updates regularly to all customer cars with improved attributes like usable energy and fast charging properties, as we learn more and more about the user profiles in different markets. Data is the key, and we use this also for the next generations to further improve the attribute balancing. And thanks to our close collaboration with Northvolt, we can utilize this data also upstream in the production process.
However, batteries have to be charged. We believe that charging is the single most important attribute for range anxiety, so we are constantly improving our fast charging performance of our battery systems, in our current as well as in our future cars. Despite that we are significantly increasing the size of our battery packs in our future vehicles, we will halve the charging time for the customer-relevant 10 to 80% state of charge.
This is done by improved cell attributes, mainly reduced internal resistance. Other aspects are an improved thermal management and an adapted design of the entire high-voltage system. This allows us to go beyond 200 kilowatt charging power in Generation 2 systems and utilize full 350 kilowatt charging power on 800 volt in Generation 3 systems. Another big step is that we will offer bidirectional charging for our next cars and provide an integration into the home infrastructure of our customers. We can support our customers that want to reduce their CO2 footprint and use the car as a storage for their solar systems. Or we can help the customers to reduce their energy bill in markets with time variable energy prices, because customers can charge when prices are low and use the energy provided by their vehicle battery later in their home when prices are high. And in the future, with a bigger fleet of electric cars with rather big batteries, we will enable our customers to contribute for energy grid stabilization, and by that one, be an enabler to allow more renewable energy in the grid. This is a real contribution to sustainability, not only for the batteries and the cars, but also for the entire society to become faster independent from fossil energy.
Our strategy is to vertically integrate in the value chains for the rapidly changing components in order to spearhead the electrification of our industry. This does not only apply for batteries. We will also develop and produce our own electric driveline for our future fully electric architectures. To gain speed in our vertical integration, we will use as much as possible of our existing infrastructure and convert it towards in-house production of strategic components for electric vehicles. The first proof point of this is that we will start producing our own in-house developed e-machines in our current engine plant in Skövde, Sweden. Thus building on the infrastructure and knowledge we already have and use this as a blueprint on how to leverage on existing assets while changing into a fully electric company. We are transforming from a company that have sold combustion engines for 94 years to a fully electric one by the end of this decade. It's not a matter of if or when, it's just a matter of how. We are convinced that we will succeed with this, not because we're small and nimble, but because we're completely focused on and passionate about safe, sustainable mobility. Thank you.
Thank you, Lutz and Erik, and please come and sit with us in the sofa. And also a very well and warm welcome to you, Peter, our newest member in our family. I hope it's okay to call it a family now when we're partners. It feels like we have known each other for quite a while, though, so it's not new in that sense.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So let's kick it off immediately, Peter, with a question to you. So we could hear Lutz and Erik here talk about all the benefits that we as Volvo Cars see with this partnership. We're talking about what is clearly an essence for us to achieve. It's sustainably produced batteries. It's to have batteries that are tailored to fit in our floor and to actually achieve exactly the attributes that we are looking for: long range, fast charging speed, etc., perhaps over peak power. And we want to build this competence in-house. But what's in it for you, Peter? Why did you choose to partner up with us?
I think it's a couple of reasons. One is definitely that this partnership allows a very important integration for us. The battery and the battery cell and its active material is only as good as the way it's being integrated into a vehicle. I mean, we today see similar type of battery packs being integrated in vehicles, but with very different performances in driving range and in cycle life, etc. So the combined know-how to work together, I think, will also help us develop more appropriate products for the future mobility. Then obviously the volumes that Volvo comes and this partnership comes with allows us for scale, and then benefit those scale benefits in driving cost, which is a key to reach all parts of the product segments that will be applied for electromobility here in the future.
Yeah, and you mentioned cost, Peter, and just to update you what we talked about here before you joined us, we talked about core computers, we talked about lidars, we elaborated on the cost for those to have them standard in the vehicle. But to be frank, I mean, the battery is sort of standard in the vehicle, and the cost for the lidar is pretty peanut compared to the battery. So how do you see the cost of batteries progress going forward?
Well, I think we've seen over the last 5 years a dramatic cost reduction on batteries, driven both by increased energy density, but not at least by the scale effect that comes with the automotive industry transforming. And as we look forward, I think there's three different components that will determine how far down the cost curve we go. One is achieving even further scale benefits. Just as a reference point, when we started Northvolt, we thought that a 30 gigawatt hour factory was kind of the maximum economy of scale, and 4 years later we're looking at the doubling that size up here in Skellefteå in order to achieve the full economy of scale. So that's one part. The other part is is all the raw materials and the components that goes into the battery, where we need to build an ecosystem. We need to build the factories, really effective factories that supports this in Europe in order to get just-in-time concepts, in order to reduce the carbon footprint and to reduce the cost. That's the second part. Recycling will also reduce the total cost, as we see recycling at scale will provide lower input material cost compared to prime material. And lastly, I mean, energy density will continue evolving. We just acquired a company in Silicon Valley, Cuberg, which is building lithium-based anode structures combined with a new type of electrolyte that has a pathway towards the 1,000 watt-hours per liter that you talked about, and beyond. And energy density, getting more out of the material, is the third key aspect of cost reductions.
Thank you, Peter. So if we move over to you here, Håkan, listening to the potential for further cost reduction of batteries, but still, will an electric vehicle ever achieve or even improve its gross margin compared to an internal combustion-driven car?
Yes, long term, I mean, we believe that, otherwise we would not electrify. And of course, it's compared with where would we be if we would have conventional technology. I mean, we would have very low gross margin, I'm quite sure. But we also, of course, need to be realistic. I mean, we always believe that with new technology, the price will go up. It will probably do that. An electric car has a higher value, but long term, we should maybe be more realistic. So I think we really need to also be realistic when it comes to the cost requirements. I think a cost of a future premium electric car should be on the cost level of a conventional premium car. And we see that break even, or that level, we will reach around 2025. And that, I think, means that we are quite sure that we will have a better profitability, higher margins here mid-term with electric cars.
So we're not expecting our entire customer base to just pay 20% more for a car?
Of course, when new cars come out, they will be very attractive, electric, fast, super acceleration and silent. Right now, customers pay more for that. But I mean, realistically, long term, that will go down. And then it's very important to work with the cost side as well. And I mean, that's, as Peter said, that's why we really need to work together, because it's very difficult to just lower costs by trying to be tough in requirements or targets. You need to really find the cost savings, and we need to do that together.
So moving from cost over to sustainability, I mean, sustainable is part of our purpose, and you also mentioned recycling and sustainability when you opened, Peter. So can you tell us about why is sustainability different in Northvolt than in other companies, the way you see it?
Well, I mean, first, if you look at the vehicle in total, basically 80% of the carbon footprint building a vehicle is steel and batteries is by far the biggest carbon footprint of it all. If you then look at the battery side, you can basically say that half of the carbon footprint is producing the battery, half of it is the raw material processing and the component. This is because it's so energy intensive to produce both the material that is needed, as well as the actual cells. When we're building up here in Skellefteå, where we have 100% hydropower, feeding our factory, we're basically cutting the entire manufacturing carbon footprint down to zero. And so then we have the raw material piece, where recycling to reduce the prime material and use recycled material that we recycle again with renewable energy, that will take out a real chunk. And then when you're looking at also the raw materials and the processing plants, etc., we are very strongly driving to get really low carbon footprints of that, building those supply chains also in Europe and in environments where we can bring it down. So our long-term objective here over the next 10 years is to take the current battery carbon footprint down with over 90%, and the first 50% comes, by manufacturing in the setup which we have here in Skellefteå.
You mentioned recycle and raw material. How do you see the future progression of that? Will there be a scarcity of raw material that demands recycling, or will there be a competing business between sourcing and mining new raw material versus recycling?
I think recycling will be a necessity. I mean, we can't afford, putting the battery anywhere else than recycled and rebuilt. So the circular flow is super important. But then, by recycling and what we have developed in Northvolt is a process to some extent a proprietary process where we are using hydrometallurgical processes to separate the raw materials, utilizing also renewable energy in those processes. These processes are significantly more energy effective than, for example, processing lithium hydroxide, which is very, very also energy intensive. And if it's done in coal-based economies where it's mostly today, just the lithium hydroxide processing could be 400 to 500 kg of CO2 footprint in a vehicle. And we think, in the combination of building new supply chains with better processing together with recycling, we can almost remove that entirely.
Exciting. Thank you, Peter. Let's see what the audience has to say about that. Are they curious about batteries, Nikki?
Absolutely, lots of questions here. So let's start with one about the raw materials and related to the cost. What's the ratio of raw materials to the total cost of lithium-ion batteries? If demand increases and raw material prices increase, how do we reduce the cost of the raw materials and keep the cars affordable?
Is that for me?
That's for you, Peter. A good guess.
For sure. One thing that we should remember is lithium, for example, is one of the most common raw materials on Earth. So as demand increase, it is also reasonably easy to increase output. So I'm not too worried of that the raw material prices will dramatically increase over that. What I am a little bit worried about is the processing capabilities, because batteries really require high performance materials, and these processing capabilities could come with some premium over time. But I think us being involved and also working together with Volvo on building long-term stable supply chains will protect that. Overall, raw materials is the biggest part in a battery. It's roughly two-thirds of the cost in a battery comes from raw materials and components.
Great. A question directly here for you, Håkan. When you talk about achieving ICE and BEV cost parity by 2025, is that in the car's price or total cost of ownership?
No, it's the cost of the car. I mean, the cost of building it. And I mean, that's half of the profitability. The other is on the price side, the value of the car, which you very difficult to know. But I mean, an electric car should be for sure more attractive than a combustion one.
But you're not accounting for the the cost of gasoline in that comparison.
No, it's a cost for the car itself. Yeah, it's a good point. And of course, the cost of driving the car will of course also be lower. Electricity is per mile cheaper than petrol per mile.
But we're talking cost of the car, which is great.
And if I just could jump in with one thing there.
Please do, Peter.
Which I think is also very, very important. I mean, electric cars is significantly more energy efficient than combustion engines. So there is an inherent energy reduction and thereby a cost reduction in utilizing electric cars that is significant. And I think that will be benefiting all different customers and stakeholders.
Great.
Good point, Peter. Thank you.
And let's touch on the Chinese market a little. It's electrifying very fast. Which platforms or components are common with Geely?
Yeah. Who should we route that question to, Nikki?
I think to you.
To me. I felt that. Well, I mean, we have collaboration projects with Geely, both on a commodity base, such as, for instance, battery cells, and we also have that on architecture and complete vehicle base. So we will continue to have that, and we will see a deep collaboration with Geely, both on parts, call it commodities if you will, and on complete cars.
Good. And while we have Peter online, because we're running short on time, but we'll make the most of while we've got Peter here. The factory that we planned, that we talked about as part of our announcement of our joint venture with Northvolt, will that be in Sweden? And can you tell us any more about this facility?
Well, obviously, I mean, we're two Swedish companies joining hand here. So Sweden is obviously, a natural location. But I think what we need to do is to start with a blank sheet of paper. We need to look at the different possible locations, and I think Sweden, but also countries like Finland has a very attractive energy mix that could come up with similar type of attributes. So I wouldn't say that Sweden is the only location, but I think both me and Håkan and Henrik would be very happy to announce a site somewhere in Sweden.
Håkan, anything to add?
No, I think you need to be very rational. It's energy, fossil-free energy is absolutely necessary. You need to be able to find the competence needed to build factory. And I mean, we are talking also about international competence. So it has to also, you talked about Peter, you and I here some hours ago. It's important to be attractive for international talents also on the location. And then it's, of course, logistic to take some. So I think we should find a good location. But then, of course, we will discuss with the government and authorities and see what type of help and support they can give. That's also a factor.
Right. We're running over already, but I'm going to get one quick last question in that's come in from TechRadar, because we've talked a lot about range. So what's the expected range improvement with the Gen 3 battery system?
Lutz, that's a question for you.
It always starts, what is the baseline of that range? And the question was range or battery size? Range, no?
Range.
Yeah, but the range will be significantly more. It would be close to double, but that comes not only from the battery, it comes also from the car. But it's significant.
1,000 kilometers?
No, not completely 1,000 kilometers, but according to WLTP, I would guess something around 900.
Okay, close enough.
Close enough. Great. So as before, we'll take some more of these questions on the extended Q&A with Eric and Lutz, but let's keep going.
Perfect, Nikki. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much, Peter and Lutz and Eric, for joining us. Thank you. Now,
thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Now let's move over to an area which in comparison to the batteries, to the lidars, the radars, the core compute, that actually, quite frankly, are hidden in the depth of the car and not really in the eyes of the consumer. And let's talk about something which is front of mind and front of eyes. The connected experience, and please welcome Sanela Ibrovic and Annemette Nygard.
Volvo Car Group was the first company to introduce a car with an infotainment system powered by Google's Android Automotive OS, coming with the Google Maps, Google Assistant, and the Google Play Store, and with services from leading technology firms like Alibaba and SK Telecom in China and South Korea, respectively. The Polestar 2 and XC40 Recharge were the first cars to be launched with the system, and it received universal acclaim for it. As one of the best, if not the best, systems on the market, it brings an unmatched level of convenience and intuitiveness. It is a sign that we are evolving as a company. Now, we want to build on that success and to take our infotainment to the next level. We are taking this great open source platform and its ecosystem of applications and integrate it with our driving and safety systems. We are creating a completely new infotainment platform based on Android and packaging it for Volvo Cars customers, because we have listened to our customers and learned what they want. We are guided by 3 words: simplicity, serenity, and safety. We want to give you a sneak peek of some of our upcoming user experience and how we will get there. This is our vision for the next generation user experience that aligns well with our Scandinavian design philosophy. All technology you see today will help us create great products and services that connect to people's daily lives. Let's start by stepping into the car and look at the screen setup. A large center touch screen provides rich content, easy to see information, and responsive interaction. A high-resolution driver information screen shows the most relevant information related to driving. And then an optional head-up display helps keep key information in front of the driver without having to glance away. Through our in-house UX and development teams, we are applying the latest learnings and technology on our Google Android systems. Our in-house teams have been spending a lot of time together with the Google teams. And while it started with integrating technology, actually our collaboration developed into integrating our thinking around technology, UX, and safety. In that way, we helped each other get better at what we are passionate about. So, what is a safer user interface? Well, simple is safer. To make it simpler, we intertwine design and engineering thinking, and then use data that proves that our approach is safer. With new digital systems like electrification and AD, it is easy to add a lot of complexity. But we have a philosophy of simplifying complexity that we introduced already in our XC40 Recharge. More is not better. We aim to create simple and focused screens. We present things for the driver in the right context to make it easier to focus on a serene driving experience. With safety and Scandinavian design being an integral part of our identity, our interface is consistent, it's clean, it's minimal, and contextual. We have designed the system with the clear areas for specific information so it's easier to find. Less looking around really means a less distracted driver. We want it to be as predictable as possible, which is why we have focused on developing a clear logic with standardized and easy-to-learn patterns. Since navigation is one of the most common functions, the map is shown in the upper section of the screen. Widgets that allow quick direct actions are in the lower part of the screen to reduce distractions. These can be customized and personalized to drivers. Then there is the contextual area that constantly displays actions relevant to the car condition. When parked, that can be rear camera, the front or the trunk. It also suggests frequently or recently selected functions. And then finally, a fixed system bar that lets you move through the interface. Here is where you can reach apps, climate control, settings, and the persistent hazard light. With this, we will support all the things user needs: apps, charging, media, navigation, etc. Our serene display strategy is a conscious choice, is the result of our customer understanding and our safety thinking. In addition to this, we are adding a lot of other technologies to provide a complete, multimodal, and best-in-class experience, like spatial audio, haptic seat belts, and the driver monitoring camera, just to name a few. All of this is part of the Volvo Cars OS and will carry over to future cars, creating an ecosystem that we can continue to build on. With this as a foundation, we can build different brand experiences across the Volvo Cars group that still follow the same clear logic. It is designed to connect to you. We know that our customers are on the move and they want a seamless experience.
And seamless is key in everything we build. Partners and platforms are important. However, our customers don't bother too much about how we solve technical problems with partners and platforms. They care about us being able to solve their problems. We have a vision: one mobile companion experience to access everything Volvo Cars. We build one app compatible with all of our cars for simplicity and serenity. The Volvo Cars app is a one-stop access point to the Volvo Cars ecosystem. Maybe you're getting a second car, it's still the same app. Or maybe you have an electric vehicle using one of our partners to charge your car. It's still the same app, but localized for US-specific needs. We want to connect with the customers in their daily life, and a mobile experience is a great way to do that. It can keep them connected to their car and any other services our customers find relevant. And the experience will be personal. It will center at what you need, no matter if you have a fully electric car, a gasoline power car, or a car that's yours sometimes. Features such as monitoring the upcoming delivery of your car, accessing your car using a digital key, or creating a total convenience experience with a loaner car, as well as pickup and delivery, are examples of improvements that make the everyday life with a car easier. I want to come back to the topic of solving problems for our customers. There's still obstacles in having a fully electric car, and it's perhaps the most important challenge that we can solve through the mobile app. It's about setting the car up for charging at home. It's about being able to easily charge wherever you are, and it's about knowing that you can reach your destination not worrying about anything on your way there. Again, we're leveraging our partnerships with Plugsurfing and Ionity and EMEA, and we have similar partnerships in China and in the US. However, we do that with full focus on our customers' needs. We are therefore fully owning our customer experience and making it totally seamless through the app. From setting up the account with different partners, planning your trip, managing and paying for your charging at the destination, or from remote. But to make this truly great, it requires in-house product teams that are fully dedicated to bringing the Volvo Cars experience to life and are passionate about providing something unique to our customers. So the mobile app is one part of the ecosystem, but we go beyond that.
We do that. We are also making it possible to connect the car to other ecosystems. We know that technologies are evolving rapidly. So we want our platform to allow customers to connect to the ecosystem that are right for them. One example of that is the possibility to connect to home voice assistants. We want our customers to be able to control their car easily using their voice from the convenience of their homes. By issuing commands from inside their homes, customers will be able to control charging, in-car climate, and much more. But we also want our customers to be able to control home functions from the car, such as turning on the front door light and opening the garage door. we want to be a good platform for our partners as well. We will create close partnership with companies when we feel we can offer something better for our customers. Just like our technology and our platforms, we are also evolving as a company. And we have a clear purpose. We want to give our customers an easy way of owning a car that feels personal to them. We are a service-based company with a customer at its core, and software is taking a center part in every experience we give our customers. Using data-driven development, our product teams lead the way with purpose and set the direction using data, not only from our online channels, but also in our cars. We use data to understand our customers and tailor our services and products to them.
And that's much easier when we own our software and the user experience. With our purpose, it's natural for us to do it ourselves. The software defines our cars and the very experience of our brand. Having in-house product and software development allows us to not only be quick and iterate faster, it allows us to innovate. Across car, cloud, mobile, and web, our teams test, build, measure, and learn with our customers. And this data-driven collaboration across our teams might be one of our strongest assets for the future. One key benefit of our tight team setup and over-the-air updates is that we can enhance the experience every day. We can deploy software over the air to the entire car, meaning we can activate and push brand new functions, for example, this within autonomous driving. We can also improve and enhance existing functions in our cars, and it also allows us to activate paid-for features connected to the mobile app. Coming back to people, all of this is only possible with a team of dedicated and passionate software developers, UX and product people. We attract the best because we have a great challenge to solve across both hardware, software, and society overall. We open to outside developers creating new innovative services and in-car apps for our cars by making resources and tools available for free through our developer portal. We even see a future where our developer tools are open source, allowing all external developers to co-create with us for the future. So, Sanela, to wrap up.
Yes, let's wrap up the key messages. We have a new, simple way of interacting with people in our cars. With our safety knowledge and learnings from previous systems, we have figured out what's the right setup for our customers. We have incorporated that into a safe, simple, and serene platform. Being part of Volvo Cars OS, this platform will carry over to future cars, creating an ecosystem that we can continue to build on. With this as the foundation, we can build different brand experiences across the Volvo Car Group.
And we are building one app compatible with all of our cars. It can keep customers connected to their car, the Volvo Cars ecosystem, and any other services they find relevant. It will center at what you need to simplify everyday life.
We want to give our customers an easy way of owning a car that feels personal to them. To understand our customers and tailor our services, software, and products accordingly, we use data.
And in-house development. Having in-house product and software development allows us to not only be quick and iterate faster, it allows us to innovate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the sofa, Sanela and Annemette, and thank you so much for that great keynote. And
Thank you. Thank you.
Also, please welcome our final least, not last, or vice versa, last but not least. Good to see you, Mickey, and welcome to joining us from Google. Mickey Kataria.
Great to see you too.
Thank you. So let's jump straight in, Mickey, with a question to you. So we've worked quite closely on this now. We listened to the second generation of the Android infotainment system. We already, in a few cars today, present the first generation of the Android infotainment system. Let's just, the way we have talked about previous partners, how has it been for you, this journey together with Volvo Cars? It's not your traditional collaboration partner, is it?
No, that's right. I mean, as you know, we've been working on this journey for so many years. I think back to 2016, when we had some of our early meetings talking about, hey, how can we evolve the experience in the car and really bring Android and Google services into the car. I think we took a really big bet on showing that future at the Google I/O event in 2017. And really built on that partnership over the years. Obviously, we had the first launch last year to the public in some of the early cars, and the pandemic has certainly slowed down our travels. And I miss my trips to Gothenburg, but I think the teams have been continuing to collaborate just more virtually over the last year. The product, people are talking to the product people. Our designers are working with the designers, and it's very, very surprising in a positive way for us to see how closely our visions are aligned, and that partnership, I think, has been super close, and I think Volvo has been a fantastic partner for us on this journey, continuing into the next generation.
Thank you for that, Mickey, and truly likewise. If we go back a few years, and I remember the day when you first brought the idea to us of an embedded system. At that time, both us and other car makers offered what was around then the projected, the Android Auto projected and the Apple CarPlay projected. How come you came to the conclusion, let's build a real embedded system?
Yeah, that's a good question. We get that a lot. I mean, we're super proud of Android Auto. It's reached, I think, pretty mass adoption in the market with more than 100 million cars that are running Android Auto, and it's continuing to grow. And we think it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay, and it makes sense in many use cases. There's two things that we realized, I think, that we're limiting in terms of what you can do from the phone when it comes to building a fully, what we kind of call a seamless experience. I think the first thing that we see is that when you have a phone projecting onto the screen in the car, the user has to switch between two different systems, right? If they want to use the onboard radio, let's say, they have one interface that they have to work with, and if they want to use Spotify or some other connected application, then they're switching to a completely different UI. And that's not a seamless or a great experience. Right? I think as we've said in one of our meetings, no user asks for that, right? They want one seamless experience where they don't have to switch between two worlds. That's one thing I think that certainly pushed us towards doing something more embedded and working with Volvo to bring that together into this one seamless experience. I think the other one that we'll talk about more also is just that being more embedded allows us to create a more integrated experience that fits more seamlessly into the car as well. So not just into the main screen, for example, but also into the instrument cluster and other parts of the car too.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Thank you, Mickey. And by what you just said here, basically millions of cars will run on the Android embedded OS. And if we go to Sanela, and your job is to make all the Volvo customers super happy, how can they get the edge if we're all using the same technology base?
I mean, being engineer and we as a company being tech company, of course, we cannot emphasize enough importance of the technology. But we are also very user-centric. And we have managed to build in that in our development teams, having the customer in the centrum and working with the end-to-end experience. And that is, I think, what we have managed together with the Google now, having this double dialogue across, making the system better, but we always start with our customers and their needs. So we will continue on that. And what Mickey just said, of course, I can go back to that. We have spent time together. Our teams are working together on the daily basis. Engineer to engineer, designer to designer, leader to leader. And we can, of course, use and build on that and create even better solutions in the future.
Great. So let's move over to you, Håkan. You have driven now the electric XC40, and before that you drove the Polestar 2, both of which are equipped with the first generation of this amazing Android system. And what's your impression after living with those cars for more than a year?
Super impressed, as everybody testing the voice control. I mean, this is a car that understands you. I mean, it's not just trying to interpret the sound into text. It is a bit smarter. I was surprised first time when I came here in Gothenburg and said I'm still not too familiar with the traffic, so I wanted to go to the central station. And normally in a voice control system you have to specify the street and everything. And here I said, take me to the central station, and the system immediately says central station in Gothenburg 3 minutes from here, and then you press start. So voice control and navigation, totally new level. And then of course I think which we will see more and more, as this is an open system, the sky is the limit what will be developed for these systems. You cannot compare it with having some kind of Volvo captive system where we would specify and develop each application. So I think this is the greatest step we have taken so far when it comes to in-car experience. I think we have the right platform to really differentiate here.
Yeah. Yeah, I can really underscore on that, having those two cars myself for quite a while. So let's go back to you, Mickey, and say that, okay, this experience is amazing today, but what is really around the corner? What do you foresee as the next really breakthrough in car infotainment?
Yeah, it's another good question, Henrik. I think there's a few things that are in the short-term horizon that I'll skip past and focus on longer term. I think that there's a lot that's happening. I'll focus on maybe two different things just to keep it short. So first, I was awake earlier and I was watching many of the talks that came before me with Udgard and Patrick and others, and I think there's a very strong connection to where infotainment is going, and I think where you've painted a vision for where the car is going as a whole. So specifically, I think as you move more towards electrification and bring that additional compute into the car, I think you'll start to see infotainment touch more and more into these areas. So as one example, with more powerful compute in the car, obviously the infotainment system is connected to the cloud, but with more powerful compute, you'll be able to do more onboard things when it makes sense too. So for example, onboard speech recognition for when you want to really have a fast response to something that doesn't require going to the cloud. Or having the map, in addition to just showing a visual indication of where you're driving, having the map being able to talk to the car and provide information that may be helpful in better eco routing and helping with the battery as well. So I think a lot of what you're going to see with infotainment is going to be complementary to the vision that you painted about what's happening in the rest of the car. That's, I think, one big trend. The other one I think that we just heard about in the most recent keynote is around what we kind of think about as a multi-device world. As consumers, our collective customers own more and more devices in their life, right? 5, 10, 15 devices, as that number is going up. The car is obviously an important part of that ecosystem. And by having Android and these Google services and a more powerful infotainment system, I think we start to see more seamless transitions happen across these devices. You saw some examples about how the Volvo app is going to have you more connected to the car, right? Imagine now having similar connections to the watch, right, or a smart display or a tablet in your home, and just making those experiences very, very seamless and providing this continuous journey where a driver or a customer in a car doesn't have to think about, hey, how do I kind of move from one device to another? So I think those are the two big trends that, two of the many, I think, big trends that we're going to see in the next generation of infotainment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a year ago, I was made to answer quickly what would be the device of my home to connect, and I said the coffee machine back then. I don't know, I haven't seen the coffee machine connect yet, but almost everything else is.
Yes, very much. Even surprising that the light that's shining on me right now is a connected light that I control from my phone to be able to control the lighting for this call.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Mickey, and let's move over to Nikki and the audience and questions coming in live.
Okay. Well, let's start with some questions around safety. Do we really believe that a touchscreen can be safe, can be a safe interface, especially when it comes to infotainment?
Sanela, do you want to take a stab?
Yeah, we talked about that just recently. All our decisions are based on our knowledge, understanding, listening to the customers, and the research. We have complemented that with a very good voice assistance as well, and the information that is shown on the central display it's chosen carefully how and when. Contextual information, but also in relation to the driving speed. So yes, we have that complete picture that we are based, again, on the knowledge, research, and listening to the customers.
Yeah.
Good.
I think I would like to just add to that. I mean, you can see trends going in more and more screens. And I mean, we research really deeply on this area, which is, of course, key to us. And eyes off the road is critical, and you need to minimize eyes off road. And I would rather see the trend, as you alluded to in your picture here in your keynote, that screens becomes fewer. What you show needs to be really simple, and then you will be quick to action, and even better, you will use voice.
Yes. And do you see the infotainment system and over-the-air updates as a new business model? Could we be charging owners extra for new features and services as part of this?
We absolutely do, and let's elaborate a bit on that. I can start by saying I don't ever see us asking for nitty-gritty for updates, which should be included and for free. So upgrades and quality fixes and as we have talked about a lot here today, your car is getting better every day. That should be part of the package. On the other hand, I see a significant business opportunity on the really valuable things we have talked about here. We talked about ride, for instance, which would be an amazing unsupervised function, obviously a great business opportunity. I don't know if Anne-Mette want to elaborate a bit.
Yeah, I think you're right, Henrik, but I do think as well, like, we need to start with the customer experience. So, like, we have a certain order in things when we build these experiences. We start with the relationship with our customers and understand what they would like to have in our different screens, whether it being the app or in the infotainment. So I think, like, for sure there's business opportunities and we should explore those together with our partners and with new partners, etc. But I think in the end of the day, like, we will not build those relationships long term if we don't start with that. What do they want, our customers, and where? Yeah.
Good point.
And what do you see about the regularity of these updates? Is there a time when these updates could be monthly, twice a month, even daily? And when would that be possible?
Well, I think we can all speculate on this, and we all live with our phones and see how often that they upgrade. I think, first of all, the upgrades needs to be seamless, so they happen during night and you preferably never notice. And then I think we should get up to speed, and I would definitely see them a number of times per year and a number of times per quarter, and maybe even monthly and maybe even faster. And then you can ask yourselves how fast is the end game here. I don't know if somebody wants to continue elaborate.
Like, communication and transparency with the customers is super key here. Like, we have been working a lot with the notification center in the app, for example, to make sure that what we do with their relationship to the car, but also with any other services that they have around themselves, that we're clear when something is happening, when an update is coming. Or we could also think about if we should ask them, do you want this update now? And also, like, these bigger updates over the air for the car, we better make sure that they understand that they're not in any danger if they press the button and say, yes, please. Like, so transparency and clear communication is key here.
Okay. And a question here about kind of communication to use. So at the moment, we're looking now at 5G communication and how that's commercialized, but we're already looking forward to 6G. The lifespan of a car will be longer than that time period. So how can we prepare for that longer term future development?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question, and I lay awake sometimes thinking about the future lifespan of a car in relation to history. But let's hear I don't know if Sanela or Håkan wants to elaborate on this.
Do you want to start?
No, I think it will be difficult for the hardware to really live that long. So I think we need to think about, two things. Be a bit generous when you dimension the hardware from start, so there is room to grow. But maybe also have a system where it's easily to upgrade it, because if a car, say, should live for 10 years, I don't see computing hardwares to live that long. So if you could upgrade after maybe a half time, I think would give the car even more functionality in the last 5 years. But You know better.
Yeah, hardware, software separation is important here. So to make us distinguish these two life cycle kind of and acknowledge the difference there. And then we are also talking about upgradable hardware. So let's see how far we come there.
Let's hear what Micke has to say on this. You now live with the auto industry, and that's not your typical handheld device doesn't have a longevity of 30 years traditionally. What's your view on automotive here in upgradability and lifetime?
Yeah, I think Håkan and Sanela hit on the right point. It's a multi-pronged strategy. I think it's important to start early. It's important to have hardware that is I think that's why I'm excited about the high-end compute that's coming to the car that's going to last longer. I mean, we'll do our part to make sure that the software and services can work on that hardware as long as possible. But still, I think as the average lifetimes of the cars get longer and longer, I think we will have to introduce some notion of hardware upgradability as well. And I don't think it's actually people already have some of that expectation with cars, right? Obviously, you upgrade the tires, right, or other parts of the car over the lifetime. So I think it's actually a natural concept to bring into the computer in the car as well.
And it would have a value also. So I mean, after 5 years, you would get something valuable.
Good. We're over time already. So Sanela and Anna-Metta are going to join the extended Q&A stream. But just a quick reminder for those watching, we're going to take a short break from the extended Q&A while we take our final keynote. So they will be joining that extended Q&A in roughly 20 minutes after the closing remarks. So we'll come back to you then.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So with that, Nikki, I guess we say thank you so much for joining us. Micke Kataria from Google. Thank you, Anne-Mette, and thank you, Sanela. And we will move over to the final part of this Tech Day. We have seen technology from different parts and different areas interact with each other and how they can play an important part in our future. The core computer, the connected experience, the batteries that provides the range and the fast charging. But now, how does that come together to a car? We already now talk about the next generation of cars. We have said already that Polestar 3 will come out next year. There will be a new Volvo flagship model coming out and be unveiled next year. But how about today? Let's see if we can give you a sneak peek into how design of future cars can put all of this technology together in a nice package for you. And Robin Page, please take it away.
So thank you, Henrik. So now is the moment to introduce our concept Recharge. It is a car which represents a manifesto for the all-electric future of Volvo cars, as well as a new type of vehicle. It displays modern proportions that go hand in hand with increased versatility and shows what all the amazing future technologies that you've seen today can enable in terms of design. So to explain this, let's open the box and assemble our concept car. And then I can run through how we've designed our next generation of cars. But let's first start by looking at a traditional SUV with an internal combustion engine, and then we can make the comparison between the two. The proportions, hood height and overhangs are set by the position of the engine and the wheels. The floor and seats are positioned on top of the transmission components. Then the silhouette of the car is formed around the engine and the high eye point of the people and the thickness of the roof. So this is the layout of an SUV that you're familiar with today. Now, let us remove the engine and introduce our full battery pack. And to give our customers the range they want, we fit a large battery pack, and as a result, we extend the wheelbase and increase the wheel size. And this also creates the all-important flat floor, which results in even more space in our Scandinavian living room. Now, with the wheels moving out, we also shorten the overhangs. So now we can reposition the seats and then show you a new innovation. Now, Volvo introduced the booster cushion back in 1978, and to create enhanced safety for small children. Now, we take this even further by having a full adjustable cushion in the rear to not only create the perfect seat, but also let everyone in the car benefit from a high eye point. So with the extensive adjustable cushion and a full glass roof, we can optimize the space and lower the overall height of the vehicle, but keep the all-important high eye point, and this then gives the efficiency gain in aerodynamics, which means more range. Also, to create that efficiency gain, we can move the A-post forward and lower the hood as we've removed the combustion engine. So this is it. This is the new cab modern proportion. Now, electrification is not just about the powertrain, but it's also about creating a new form language and design for the front of the car. Now, by removing the combustion engine, it's logical to remove the grille, but keep a solid shield-like structure either side with our strong Thor's hammer light signature. Now, the Volvo design language is about taking a solid form and carving away the volume from the surface, and this ultimately creates the graphic. And you can see that here in the diagonal. So you can see this form language throughout the whole of the car. Now, our design language does not only change outside, but also inside. I mean, we have embraced the Scandinavian design principles of creating visually clean and harmonized design, and because of the flat floor, gained even more open space. We have the optimal interface with the large 15-inch touchscreen and the floating driver display and the latest future connected experience. Now, combined with the technology, we have a strong architectural theme tailored in beautiful Scandinavian natural materials. And each part of the interior is like a piece of art and can stand alone as individual furniture in a room. So now let's talk about the front lights and our famous light signature connected to the story of Thor, the mythical god of thunder, lightning, and therefore electricity. So what is the next generation of Thor's hammer? A light which has the clear graphic both in the day and night. And to achieve that, we need to package all the latest high-definition technology into a slim, pure graphic, and that's exactly what we did. So let's move to the rear light, again, encapsulating the very latest technology, but designed in a way to create a vertical graphic, which is easily identified as a Volvo when following the car, and links to our strong heritage of vertical light signatures. And then our lidar, which flies in to sit on the roof in the optimum position to collect the very best data. Now, the lidar is a critical part of our excellence in safety and is an enabler to achieve our goal in zero collision. The new aero wheel design adds to our efficiency gains, along with the lower roof and lower front profile. And they also symbolize our new generation of all-electric cars. The face of the car is proud and confident and signifies the next generation of electric Volvos. The solid carved-out shield, the illuminated diagonal and iron mark, supported either side with Thor's hammer. A signature light, which is pure in the daytime, and then at night, when you need the very latest high-definition lights, the eyes open and reveal a pure hammer. This also gives the car an almost human character and personality. Now, the rear of the car continues our design principles of visually clean design, solid surfaces carved out to create the graphics. The vertical lights encapsulate the interlocking jigsaw piece, which proudly display the Volvo wordmark. And the car welcomes you as you approach the vehicle. So now we move from the exterior into the interior. And you see our latest touchscreen interface is not only seamlessly connected to your life, but it's also the rest of the car. It breathes and lives as one. When the screen comes alive, as you sit in the car, the lights flow into the illuminated backlit wood and then moves across the car and into the doors. And with our future connected experience, you enjoy all the features of full connectivity designed to be serene, intuitive, and logical to use. Then we move into a virtual scene where the car's many sensors come to good use in real-time traffic. As part of the optimal aero efficiency of a lower roof, we have blades which extend from the rear lights to enhance the airflow at the sides of the car. And this also combined with the low roof and, of course, the aero wheels and the low front profile. Now, for the first time, you see this new type of vehicle moving, and the design has a visually clean and clear theme. It stays true to our Volvo DNA, and is modern and fresh. It not only encapsulates the high seating position, but also the high versatility expected by a family. So now you've seen the car virtually, let's walk over and see the real model.
Suicide doors. Holy cow, there it is.
So here it is, concept recharge. And this really encapsulates all the technology that's been talked about today. It's a new type of vehicle, and it really is the new electric proportions. Inside, you can see that we have the high seating position at the front, so that's the high point, and the same on the rear. We have easy entry exit, and also great versatility. But with this car, you've got the lower roof that we talked about, and also the lower front as well. And when we come to the front of the car, you can see that we've taken away the traditional grille, the open grille, and instead we have now a new shield. And this shield is a great background for the iron mark and the diagonal. Then either side of that, the car is supported then with the next generation Thor's hammer. And you can see here, this is the Thor's hammer in daytime, and then at night time, the high definition lights come forward, and that becomes an expression to the car. You could even greet your
those
friends
headlights.
And
imagine
with
if you have to replace the motor.
Then on top of the car, we have the lidar set in that critical position to give us
cool.
the
Hopefully
very
that doesn't
best
make it a
data
production.
for our journey towards
I feel
zero
like,
collision.
what if your nighttime lights get stuck on or off?
Vertical lights,
I don't know.
which
like
are true to the Volvo DNA, and they lock in the center panel across the back. Now, this is a really great example of the form language of this car. We've taken a solid form and we've carved away the surfaces, and this then creates the graphic. And this principle is carried out throughout the whole of the car. So now let's have a look at the interior. And the interior basically shows that first benefit from the fact we have a full battery pack. It's got this big open flat floor, big open space in the front and the rear. And that's where the technology really plays off to create a Scandinavian living room. In the center, we have the large 15-inch touchscreen.
The seats are sitting on a single pedestal.
Next generation user experience. Also, you can see, and I'll move to the side, in the rear of the car, there's a cushion of the rear seat that's elevated. So that's for a small child. They can move it into that position.
I love that.
And then
That's
they can
amazing.
enjoy the high seating position, the high increased safety, and then their eye point is the same as the rest of the passengers in the car. The whole of the interior is trimmed in natural, sustainable materials, and overall it gives a fantastic Scandinavian living room experience. And for me, this car really delivers on our company purpose, which is personal, it's sustainable, and it's safe. Okay, over to Håkan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robin. I think we're all excited seeing what can be achieved with our new technical base, our new architecture. An architecture really fully electric, only electric, central compute, and with the safety technology delivering really the safest car available. And this is really exciting, and we will then have the real first cars coming out next year. It will be launched. It will be an Volvo flagship, a new, say, SUV, but it's really the first of its kind, to be followed by a lot of cars based on the same architecture. And this will be the first of a kind. So we should also then mark that by deviating from our normal way of giving our cars names. They are called the XC, very engineering-wise, and with the number. So really to mark this is a first of its kind, first of the next generation Volvos. This car will also have a name, more like a child. And this we will not reveal today, but we will come back to you when we present the car, and then we will surprise you with that. So with that, I think I leave to you, Henrik, to summarize today's event.
Thank you, Håkan. And I think I would like to say, which may be the only few things which have not already been said. We talk about the future generation of cars. They can all be part of one, if you will, new architecture. I think what is key here is that we are no longer talking about platforms with longevity of 8 years, and then we have platform 1 and platform 2 and platform 3. We have seen, which is entirely new for me, and I've at least been here for more than 20 years, we are talking about multiple generations of the same technology at the same time. We looked at batteries generation 1 just recently launched. We're talking about generation 2 that will be launched next year. And we already here today talk about generation 3. In the same way, in the core system, we looked at different generations, how we go from the distributed system to 2 core system merging into 1 core system. And these will not necessarily always coincide in platforms, because the rapid transformation that we see in front of us right now requires each and every part of the car to develop and evolve as fast as possible into new generations. And we need to comply with that in a global world with multiple plants and multiple car models. And I think with the design peak that we just saw from Robbing into the future, and we heard Håkan talk about the new car, the first car out on the Volvo brand in this next generation of cars with a name as if it were our child, I think was an amazing end to this hopefully worthwhile, and at least for me, amazing event. So thank you so much to all the keynote speakers, to all the partners, everybody taking questions, and actually all of you listening, viewing, and asking the questions. That's what makes us great. Thank you and goodbye.
I just muted myself the entire time. Oh man, I had the mic on and I forgot it was on, and so I pressed the mic on button, which also turns it off. I do that at least twice a stream. Yes. Yeah, 2.5 hour live stream. I'm sure you guys are pretty tired like myself. Headlights look cool. Hey, let's just do this. It's over. So let's just go here. I'll recap what I was saying. Here's a little summary video. So the front grille is cool. It's not really a grille, but I like the stripe. I love the Volvo logo. I do like the Thor's hammer headlights that separate. Hopefully that doesn't make it to production for longevity reasons. Interior looks absolutely amazing. You can see the storage on the floor. I guess one of the favorite things is that you can raise the seats, essentially turning the seats into a booster seat. And I do think that they'll bring that into production. If they don't, that's disappointing because Volvo's always, pushing the bar in terms of safety innovations. I think the back end looks pretty uninspiring, to be honest. It looks futuristic, but I don't know. It does look like a Volvo, I'll say that much. But the front end is definitely the coolest part. Besides the interior, which I'm a sucker. They popped the lights out for us. Can we go back? Oh, look at that. Slow-mo. That replay on the lights. Pretty baller. Make smaller tires and wheels. Yeah, those look like 22-inch wheels. The thing looks huge. When are they going to release more Tundra info? Pretty soon. Pretty soon. I can't believe I muted myself. What do you guys think? Are you happy about it? Are you... I mean, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect today. It was a 2.5-hour live stream. I figured they would talk about every single thing they had working on, and they pretty much did. They didn't talk anything about specifics, which I didn't expect them to because they weren't doing a new product reveal, even though this is a concept, but this is like Lexus's concept. It's just kind of a starting point, and everything kind of branches off from this concept. So, I mean, I think the Lexus LFZ electrified concept looks way more futuristic than this. But that car also didn't have like a fleshed out interior. This has a much more production ready interior. So this vehicle, I think how you see it is going to look pretty similar to when it comes out. Will suicide doors make it to production? I think that would be cool. I think it's a possibility. Yeah, the Swedes outdid Nissan on a very dialogue heavy presentation here. LFZ concept is a concept we won't see. Lexus is way too conservative. When I was in Plano, they said that concept is very similar to what you're going to see. That came from Toyota and Lexus's mouth. So I don't know what aspects are going to be making it to production, but I think the overall silhouette and design is pretty close. If you want an electrified inline 6 hybrid, I guess Mazda might be your best choice there. But that's not out yet either. There is no B-pillar on this concept, which doesn't... I mean, Volvo is all about safety, so a B-pillar is very important for safety. So I don't know how that will work. Well, guys, I'm going to end it there. I'm really tired. I feel like I woke up, got ready, my energy was up, and then I've been sitting down for over 2 hours. Well, pretty much 3 hours at this point. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for those who contributed monetarily in the stream. You know who you are. Thank you so much. Thank you guys just for coming out. It was a lot of fun. If you were able to stay awake. But no, Volvo's a part of the channel now. I'm getting a XC90 T8, so it's a recharge. I'll be testing the range on it. I'll be testing acceleration, and it's fun. It's a new thing for me. It does get kind of boring talking about sometimes when I talk about the same cars. For a long time, so just having something new, something exciting, new product on the channel, new brand to cover. It is a lot of fun for me. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And I will check you guys in the next video. Maybe I'll make a video about this recharge later today if I'm feeling up to it.